The opinions expressed on Plastic Fantastic are intended for educational and informational purposes only and are not meant as a diagnosis, treatment, or substitute for professional medical advice. The mention of any product, treatment, or procedure on the show does not constitute an endorsement or recommendation and is purely for the information and education of the public.
Welcome to Plastic Fantastic, a weekly show dedicated to the latest in plastic surgery, aesthetics, beauty, and wellness. Now, here are your hosts, board-certified surgeons Dr. Robert Silich and Dr. Olivia Hutchinson.
Good afternoon.
Good evening.
Good morning.
And good morrow.
Good lady.
Kind sir.
Welcome to Plastic Fantastic.
With Dr. Robert Silich.
And Dr. Olivia Hutchinson.
It's Thanksgiving.
It is Thanksgiving.
Well, it's Thanksgiving week.
Almost the most wonderful time of the year.
It kind of is already, isn't it?
I'm in.
Haven't you seen a total change in the atmosphere?
I think everybody said, screw it. I'm putting the tree up. I'm putting the lights up. Used to get a hard time for it. I put my tree up last week.
We have wreaths here in the office. Thank you very much.
A first, by the way.
Yes.
If you're in the hood, come on by to 121 East 83rd Street. Take a look at our... Yes, 121A. And take a look at our giant wreath.
Maybe we should have a decorating party.
You know what? I'm going to put it on Instagram.
Yes.
It's Instagrammable, isn't it?
It's absolutely beautiful. It's huge, too. Sometimes bigger is better.
Easy.
The bigger the wreath.
Easy. Yeah, I hear you.
The happier the doctor.
The happier the doctor. All around happy.
It is very nice. And it smells really pretty, too.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorite things.
How long do you think it gets stolen?
No.
Well,
say it ain't so,
it's
Joe.
a big lift. But I think somebody could do it.
It probably weighs a lot. You had
no, in New York, they'll
it.
decide not to steal it, but they'll just take a saw and cut it in half. So we'll have two revert C's, like the Chanel logo, or backward C's. Yeah, that'll be a good look.
Maybe we'll have somebody sleeping in it. It's so big it could be a hammock.
That's not a bad idea. Like the little guy sleeping in the moon.
Yes,
that would be kind of cute. Anyway, what should we do first? I guess we should tell everybody.
Should we do movies first?
Today? Yeah, movies, food, all of the above.
No, because when you said it's the guy sleeping in the moon, isn't that one of the
it looks
movie
like something.
Production companies?
Oh,
I think
yeah,
it's got like a little boy fishing off the moon.
It is. Yeah, which one is that? Is it Imagine?
Don't ask me. I don't really pay attention to it. That's how well advertising
I was
works.
thinking that since we normally spend so much time on bread and butter stuff like plastic surgery, we should talk today about movies, food,
just bread and butter,
and yeah, movies, food, and music,
drink, and music.
Since we're always so technical on this show, I thought that maybe we should take a break. Anyway, have you watched those Planet of the Apes movies I told you about last week?
No, because I have a list, and I was trying to do all the important things, like making sure that I had ordered enough food for the week, and that I had ordered drinks for the week, and that I had reserved my delivery slot, all those things that you have to do ahead of time.
It's painful. I agree with you. I'm thawing my turkey now. I got a frozen one this year.
You're thawing it?
I always get a fresh kill.
A what?
I always get a fresh kill turkey, which, was not frozen. Like, it's good to go, right? But this year...
You said you used the word kill, and I just wasn't sure what
they call it a fresh kill turkey.
Oh, okay.
But this year I decided I'm going to go old school and get a butterball turkey, because I'm reading all these chefs online. They say, forget all that stuff. You want the best turkey out there? Get a butterball.
Really?
I grew up with that. It's very American.
No, but why is it better than
I have no idea.
Oh.
But here's the funky thing. For every 4 pounds of turkey, it's 1 day of thawing. So I've had that thing out since I don't know.
Now, do you put it in a big bucket of water?
No, you can do that. If you do that, check you out. Wow. I didn't think the show was going to go in this direction, but I like it. You can, but then it's like a 5 to 9 hour thaw, and you got to keep changing the water every 30 minutes, so I'm not doing that.
Oh, including at night? Who does that? The
Exactly.
little elves? The little elves come in?
My little Thanksgiving elves. By the way, I had my little Christmas
overtime.
elves decorate my tree.
Your nieces, you mean?
Fantastic, yeah. They fought over everything. It was great.
Do you have two of everything?
Cute. You're right. 2 nieces. 2 sets of decorations.
That's what I meant.
I do. I got it. I figured that would be good. You do this side of the tree. You do this side, whatever.
And then did one of them go over and move things around after the fact?
It was my George Michael.
Did it fall over?
Broke his shoulder. He went down. I've got 4 of the queen. One of the queens went down,
What are they made of? Not glass.
Yeah, that kind of very fine. It's almost like eggshell.
Glass?
Probably. Well, maybe it is glass. I don't know what it is.
I mean, because if those break, they shatter into a million
There was
pieces.
no bleeding, but there was shattering. Anyway.
Do you have a little skirt out underneath the tree?
I have a skirt.
And did you tell them that every time that they put up an ornament, they have to say what they're thankful for? Do you do that at Thanksgiving?
Never heard of that.
Well, you're doing your tree before Thanksgiving.
But haven't you noticed New York, it's Christmased out?
New York is exploding at the seams. I mean, they're not bursting at the seams. They're exploding.
What is that? Why is that?
Who's here?
Everybody's here, including you and I. And I don't know why we're here. We should get out of here. Ridiculous.
So the other day, I was walking up from Resdora. I've gone to brunch over there, sort of a late thing. Walking up Lex and passed by this store called like the Dover Street Market or something.
Oh, I've been many times.
You've been? I'd never even heard of it.
Oh, it's so cool. It's one of the best kept secrets in New York.
Well,
it's except 5 floors.
I literally thought that I had gone to, I don't know, Tokyo or Hong Kong or something. It was
Tokyo.
Everybody was the same age group. They were all going in together
it's awesome.
And taking over, but it's legit well-known designers.
Well, Comme des Garçons basically runs it, and they have different designers in there.
Who is that designer? It's not French. It's Japanese,
No, it's all
think,
Japanese.
Right?
I think it's Rei Kawakabo or something like that.
Yeah.
Anyway, the first one, I believe...
Who is that anyway? Who's
some older guy, maybe in his late 60s, early 70s, designer.
Cool stuff.
The big one is on Dover Street in London, in Mayfair.
Oh, that's why. Because I was like, why is this called Dover Street? We're on Lex and 30.
And the last 3 years, it
28.
moved from Dover Street to Haymarket Street in London. But there's one in New York, and it's in an old post office. That's a great store.
Okay. On the side of the building, you can see where the lettering was.
How did you
before.
find?
Just walking past.
What were you doing over there? It's such a weird part of town.
I know. I was actually going up to 200 Lex. By the way, we have no stock in any of the...
I know. Well, we're throwing it out there and seeing if something sticks.
Out,
if somebody will be like, this episode of Plastic Fantastic is brought to you by Dover Street Market.
Sponsored by no one, but they have Gucci and they had Prada and they had the well-known, not just Japanese designers. Plus, they had all these cool things, like almost modern art.
Definitely one of a kind.
Decor
kind
on
of
the inside. Some Dr. Seuss looking with like very tall hats.
Yeah, it's wacky. And as my Uncle Bob used to say, you got to bring your wallet to that store. It's expensive.
Nothing is for free. And I think they were setting up for an event. And the other thing that was very interesting was the people who were working there were wearing some pretty outlandish
They're basically
things.
all Stefan from Saturday Night Live out of Central Casting. I mean, they are spectacular.
It was hysterical.
People.
And then there was a line, probably like later on in the afternoon. There was a line for people to come in, maybe because they were having this big opening celebration and stuff. So anyway, the things...
I'm so glad you went there.
My point is that the things you randomly, serendipity, you come across random things in New York that you would never expect. Like you said, it's sort of in an odd part of town. That's not Murray Hill. You're farther down than that. I don't even know what exactly that's called.
It's a very, very good question.
Like Gramercy,
it's on 30th and Lex.
Yeah, so it's Gramercy.
Yeah, it is Gramercy actually. And there's no sign. And there's frontage is on 30th, not even Lexington. So it's a weird location.
It used to be like the New York School of Design. I think maybe it had 2 iterations.
Oh, I thought it was a post office.
Maybe it was a post office too. There were a couple of different things that were overlapping. Anyway, kind of a fun thing. Lots of things coming up though for Christmas.
Are we off Dover Street Market?
Well, just other things that you might come across randomly.
Got it.
Bryant Park has a big Christmas market, I think, with all the little huts that are set up. I think those are already up. Maybe that's what attracts so many people to the city now, is that there are all these pop-up stores everywhere. And then also in Columbus Circle, I think, over on the west side.
Yeah, their decorations are up. The 6th Avenue decorations are up. The tree is up at Rockefeller Center, but just not lit yet.
Yeah, I think they light it when first week in December.
Right.
That's usually when they do it. If you have anything you'd like to send us, we here at Plastic Fantastic Show are very happy to hear from you.
Right.
Please send us an email, plasticfantasticshow@gmail.com, about decorations, markets, pop-ups, stores, anything you like.
Totally.
Plastic surgery, perhaps.
The menu, thawing a turkey. Things you don't think you're going to hear on Plastic Fantastic.
The Man U. You mean the team?
No, I said thawing a turkey. Where did you get Man U? No, I said...
The menu?
The menu. Thawing a turkey. Okay. Speaking of Manchester United...
Yes, well, FIFA. Can we?
I've been watching
sports.
that.
They only had.
I'm not good enough to talk sports.
No, neither am I. But I do recognize some of the names.
But yes, the World Cup is rocking, and that's always a good time. It goes for a month. Started.
Well, it's in Qatar. A little bit.
But it was in Qatar.
It's a bit of controversy. Maybe that's part of the controversy. How do you actually pronounce it properly?
Doha. That one's okay.
Doha's fine. Everybody knows what Doha is. It's apparently even bigger than the Olympics. The number of people who watch it, the number of fans involved. They had opening ceremonies, which I don't think I've ever watched, but I watched
Morgan
it
Freeman was there. Did you see that?
Yes.
Creepy.
Yes.
It was creepy. I'm sorry. It was weird. Not even the Morgan Freeman controversy. The whole thing was just
all
creepy.
of it. Yeah, with a big ghost flying over
Yeah,
and
it was
stuff.
just weird, man.
Lots of people watching. Who's favorite? Do you know?
Well, the three big teams everybody keeps talking about are Brazil, Argentina, and England.
Oh, well.
Could be England's year, but they say that every 4 years, right?
Yeah, we'll soon find out. I guess it's who wants it most, right? Isn't that part of what defines the champion, is thinking like a champion? Right. Championship vibes.
Envision it. I'm trying to think of how we're going to tie this into plastic surgery right now. Should we just not even try? Let's just run with it? Screw it, right?
Yeah. And part of the reason is that nobody wants to have surgery immediately before Thanksgiving because they don't want to run the risk of having an issue over the holiday.
Well, we talked about this 2 weeks ago, I think. People that do surgery this time of year, they do one or the other, right? They'll either take the Thanksgiving one off and recover, or they'll do Thanksgiving and then right after, they'll blow off Christmas and New Year's to recover. So we do get some of those stragglers around this time of year.
And people like to go away, visit family and stuff. So I think it's a little bit more difficult. We get a lot of, when will I look normal again? It's like, well, it's going to take more than a week. You know, even if the stitches come out and stuff, you're still, unless it's, I mean, that's for face.
And I'm wrong every time, by the way.
Yeah.
Right? Or you're like, well, normally it's about a week to 10 days. That person will be healed in 2 days. Somebody else, they'll take a month and a half to heal. Right. And you're like, oh,
it's the terrible. Unforeseen complications that
One thing
happen.
We can guarantee is that if a husband and wife come to you or a spouse couple come to you, one's going to heal totally fine and perfect, and the other one's going to have a problem.
And we're creating marital issues.
Without a doubt. And it's usually...
That's in the consent form, too. I understand that there's a possibility.
Right. I'll be fighting with my spouse post-op because he or she will do better than I did.
Well, then they need somebody to take care of the other person, right? So if they're both recovering, then you have to take a little bit more time. We do help patients. Actually, let's stay on the plastic surgery recovery topic for a little bit. We do help patients who do come from out of town, or even the ones who are here who don't want to go home, recover at hotels. And I think that's really important to have relationships with various hotels. And we were just talking about some of the hotels that had closed that are reopening.
Right.
The Surrey, which is relatively close to us.
We used to use them a lot. Now they're reopening, we heard. Just this morning we found out.
So we have to go investigate and see if that's actually...
And that, requires a cocktail. Right? At the lobby bar, right?
That's the limiting factor.
Because you never know. The post-op patient may want to imbibe.
Well, they probably shouldn't. But the post-op surgeon can always go and have a drink, a celebratory drink that everything went well.
It's always amazing how there's such a big difference between our post-op regimen, which is pretty nonchalant, and some other people's. And
I thought you were going to say between the patient's recovery and the physician's recovery.
No, I mean, patients are like, do I need a nurse? Well, if you want. Really? Do I need a hotel? Well, if you want, if you live close enough or far away. And some people are
oxygen.
I love that one. Yeah, there's so much voodoo out there about that.
Too much voodoo.
God. I guess it's kind of cool. Some people want that.
Well, some patients want it because they believe in it. But I think the reason they believe in it is because they've been led to think that that's something that is established. Right. And again, it just has to do with don't believe the hype and where does the information come from. It's rather fascinating to see that a lot of patients, even though they trust their plastic surgeon and believe what they say, they will still get advice from
the
friends, the Google, the Instagram, the Snapchat.
Totally.
And then the TikTok, of course.
They're trying to ban the TikTok. We got to come back and talk about that. That's kind of interesting. The U.S. They're really trying to, the United States government. Yeah, they're really trying to get rid of it.
Well, they had started that at some point. That was a while back where there were some kind of regulatory issues.
They can really get into those little kids' phones.
With that.
I know you're a big TikToker.
Yeah, always.
Oh, right? You're always
now,
on there.
As we speak.
I can't get you to focus because you're on TikTok doing those Macarena dances all the time.
I think originally I wasn't even sure how to spell it. I think I would have put a C in there.
Like a Tic Tac. Yeah. See that? Not bad.
You know how much time I spend on TikTok when you know that you can't pronounce it. And there was also an article, speaking of TikTok, in the Wall Street Journal about the silent bullying that goes on when kids are not allowed in chat rooms and also when they're not allowed to participate in certain things. I think there's a lot of bullying that goes on via social media.
It's so hard for those kids today.
That has a real impact on adolescence. So if you're a parent out there or if you're a teenager who's listening, try not to let it get to you.
Don't let it get to you, man. Who cares?
There are real friends who don't rely on social media. It's time for us to take a little break just for a quick moment.
I'm in.
You're listening to Plastic Fantastic with Dr. Robert Silich.
And Dr. Olivia Hutchinson. We're on the Thanksgiving show. We're thankful for each other and for you guys, the audience, and we're going to be right back.
This is Plastic Fantastic with Dr. Robert Silich and Dr. Olivia Hutchinson.
What I know about courage, I learned from my adoptive mom. She said sometimes you just gotta hold on and know we'll get through this. Mom, we are so high up. Hold my hand.
No, you hold my hand.
Here we go.
Learn about adopting a teen from foster care. You can't imagine the reward. Visit adoptuskids.org to find out more.
I learned patience from my adoptive dad. All he had to say was,
"Hey, you got this. Just breathe." Hey, we're pretty good.
yeah,
Might have to start a band.
I got it.
Learn about adopting a teen from foster care. You can't imagine the reward. Visit adoptuskids.org to find out more. This message is brought to you by Adopt US Kids, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Now, back to Plastic Fantastic with Dr. Robert Silich and Dr. Olivia Hutchinson. Email plasticfantasticshow@gmail.com.
Welcome back to Plastic Fantastic with Dr. Olivia Hutchinson.
And Dr. Robert Silich.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving to you.
This is twice for you because you had the Canadian one a month ago.
Yes, so it's interesting because in Canada, the Thanksgiving holiday is nowhere near as elaborate and important, really, as it is here. First of all, it's not on a Thursday, it's Monday. It's usually Columbus Day. And,
is that because of the Native American pilgrim thing?
Yeah, I think, right? I mean, it's...
you guys are so superior. You're so more woke than we are, right?
Hardly.
You didn't kill those people. Everything was mellow. Well, the funny thing about Thanksgiving is...
If you know a little bit about the history of Canada, there was plenty of...
There's a lot of killing?
European settler versus
it's the
Native...
same thing in the U.S., right?
Canadian, I guess. The Iroquois were the
300 years.
Lots of that stuff. But, if you don't learn about the history, then you can't understand where you are today. So I'm a big proponent of not just erasing everything, but actually reading about it and remembering it.
I agree with
so
that, 100%.
There's that expression that history repeats itself, and those who do not know history are bound to repeat its failures and various other iterations.
It does kind of make you wonder because the landscape, particularly in New York, has changed so much physically in terms of the statues that have changed. Certain monuments are gone that used to be here.
Oh, in front of the Museum of Natural History.
Well, that's a big one,
Roosevelt.
but there's a lot of them. I mean, it's amazing. First of all, I wonder where they go.
Maybe there's like a graveyard of statues. Maybe
like in the end of Planet of the Apes. Oop, I'm sorry. You didn't see that.
No spoilers.
Big spoiler, actually, for that movie, so I'm not going to say anything.
Okay, don't tell me.
Let's talk about...
Maybe I'll do that as I'm
Let's
thawing
talk about
my turkey. Recipes?
You're going to thaw the turkey? What kind of turkey did you get?
I don't get a frozen one because I didn't know.
I don't blame you. I never do either.
Well,
this
you
is
didn't
like the
tell
first
me.
time I'm doing it.
Now I'm going to hold it against you.
I guarantee yours is going to probably be better than mine.
I'm going to thank you in a sarcastic way. Thanks very much.
Thanks very much for the frozen
Thanks
turkey
for nothing.
advice, really.
No,
it's all about the sides anyway, right?
Oh, I thought you were going to say it's all about the size.
What is it with you and size today? You're killing me.
It's
right
about
now.
the sides, and we do a lot of sides that are very easy to prepare.
The best ones.
The first one is the cranberry sauce. Did you forget the cranberries?
Jellied or whole?
I make it from scratch.
Wow. You boil the cranberries and put the sugar in.
That is probably the easiest thing to make.
It's great too, isn't it? Like on a sandwich later, it's great.
Yes, it's literally a spread, right?
I don't know where to go with that. I mean, I can't.
Like a jam,
I
a
can't
jelly.
Get your mind out of the gutter, Doc. What is your deal? What's going on with you?
I don't even understand what you're referring to.
The size matters. The wreath is huge. I'm going to spread the cranberry. I mean, come on. It's a family show.
What's your favorite recipe for the cranberry sauce? Can I say sauce?
Exactly. Saucy. Yes, you can. And it's exactly the same as you. You buy them, you put them in the water, you boil them up, they explode, slowly add the sugar. Oh, so I feel really funny about the white sugar because everybody says that's like the devil's mixture. What? White sugar today. Everybody goes nuts over
Everything
that.
in moderation.
Dude, I hear you.
So you have to add a little bit of something to help preserve it. So
booze.
Exactly.
Do you put booze in the cranberry?
You better believe it.
Amen, sister. What do you put in there?
First reason, whatever happened to have in the house. First reason to put booze in.
This year it's Kahlua and cranberry. Yeah. It's a bit of a strange taste, but...
No, I think a clear or something orangey generally works really well.
Like, I'm going to say Cointreau, and you're going to say...
Cointreau.
Wow. That's
or anything
beautiful.
like that. Grand Marnier.
Ooh, easy. That would be Grand Marnier, listener.
So the first reason to put in booze is because I don't prepare a lot of things ahead of time, but that's one of the things that you kind of have to because you want it to cool down. And so I prepare it the day before, and you have to taste it. And it's always helpful to taste it when there's a little bit of alcohol.
I assume you're burning off the majority of the alcohol, right?
One is to assume. How does one know?
I mean, put it this way. If somebody was a recovering alcoholic, would you serve them that? You really can't.
Not.
Would you serve a child that?
Always.
I love it. Okay, good answer.
Start with the kids.
That's great. Come here. I think it's in Irish culture. They put like the Irish whiskey on their pinky and you give it to the little baby when they're teething.
When they're teething.
Yeah.
Well, it's an Australian thing, that's for sure.
Is that right?
Absolutely.
I love it.
Let's not impugn all the Australians, but let's just say that I've heard
I thought it was an Irish thing. That's great.
Probably from...
Actually,
there
you
are
know
probably
what?
variations on a theme.
You're right, because Italians do it with red wine with their kids.
We haven't looked at the long-term studies of what happens, but I would think that...
Of the finger with the booze on it for the poor kid.
I would think that it's such a tiny amount that it's probably okay if you did it once.
Yeah, keep telling yourself that. It's just a tiny amount. I did it once.
We have, of course, in the United States these days, we have baby Orajel and various other things that are meant to be used in that
cold
fashion.
Plate.
Oh, I thought you were going to say
Remember
cold
that?
plate.
They used to give a kid a cold plate. Like just,
to chew on?
Chew on this. The
well, the
teething
pacifiers, then you can put those in the fridge, and they're metal so that they get cold
How
and
did
stuff.
we get on this?
You don't even have kids. How do you know so much about
I had
soothing?
little nieces, and I was very involved.
Oh, with soothing them?
Yeah,
when
if
they
I was
were-
like babysitting or doing something while their parents
Okay,
were
let's
out.
go back to the recipes. So we covered the cranberry sauce. What else do you do as a side?
Well, there's always the big debate about sweet potatoes, right?
Yeah.
But you have to have mashed potatoes too. So
I
then
don't
you
like
got,
sweet potatoes.
To me, they're a little too sweet, but we always have it. And that's like a big
Yams?
old-fashioned American thing. Yeah, yams with like the marshmallow on it, which is great.
Marshmallows on your yams?
Yeah, so you basically either mash up the yams or just break them up, right? You put them in a dish in the oven. This is
Are
real
they
simple.
tougher than regular potatoes?
I don't
Is there
know.
consistent-
Sweet potatoes, I think,
Yeah.
are softer.
Softer.
You sprinkle a little bit of brown sugar, and then at the very end, you put marshmallows on it.
Is that what
this
makes
is
them
like
softer
old school
then?
Americana.
Okay.
And then you
Maybe that's
you
why,
could
'cause I
either
didn't
put them
grow
under the
up here.
broiler or you could blowtorch them if you're really funky.
That's what I'm getting.
I
I'm
use mine
getting a
all the time,
blowtorch.
by the way. I know it sounds crazy. You will find
I looked it
unbelievable
up.
uses for it.
Which one is yours? Do you know what the brand is? Do you think it makes a
I
difference?
don't. I got it in a Asian supermarket of all places. I was checking out and I looked up and they had blowtorches. I'm like, oh, I need one of those.
So do you test it before? Like, how do you know which one to get?
Get a little one. Don't get a big one.
Are the canisters interchangeable? Because
So-
it's, what is it, butane? What's
Yeah,
the
but here's the funny thing. I'm still on the same one that I bought like 2 years ago. And I don't know what to do when it runs out. I think I'm just going to throw it away and get a new one.
No, I think you just change the canister, no? Or is it attached?
See,
Is
that's when
like-
it gets dangerous. Me sitting in my apartment changing the canister on a butane
Yeah.
tank? I don't
No
think
good?
so.
Okay.
I don't think so. With a cigarette hanging out of my mouth? I don't think that's a great idea.
When was the last time you
Boom.
actually had a cigarette
Long
anywhere
time
near
ago.
you?
Too long. One of the great vices in life, no?
Smoking cigarettes?
Didn't they say that? What's the best thing about a cigarette? One before and one after?
I would do
Didn't
do
you ever
a
hear that?
cigar. No.
Oh,
See, now look
come
who's got
on.
their mind in the gun. No, I
Well,
thought
that
it was
was-
a drink before.
What?
Cigarettes are just for after.
I always heard it was a cigarette.
I personally don't like the taste of cigarettes. Not that I've had that many. But tobacco, I think a cigar.
Are you a cigar
is-
smoker?
I prefer those.
Interesting.
On the very rare occasions, you know, with the
I
cognac.
got to tell you, I can't picture it.
A little cognac.
What kind of cigar? A little one? Or
Like a
big,
regular cigar.
A big Churchill?
What's a little one? Like a cigarillo?
No. They have like little sizes. I can't remember what they're called.
Did not know that.
They have them with coffee a lot.
There's a Club Macanudo here.
There still is, and there's another one
you
that
been to
was
this one?
no. I
I thought we
haven't.
were going to go down the path of vices.
Well, no, we are, and one of my favorite topics, by the way, listener, in case you were wondering, is
Where we divulge.
vices in general. Like I want to just talk about everything that's vice. You know, the problem I have with cigars is, you know how I feel about smelling things. You smell like a cigar all day. Your hair, your
Well, you
jacket.
taste like a cigar.
And that too, which is nasty. But there are ways, I guess, to change that. Whereas you got to change your whole outfit, you got to change your hair, you got to do everything.
But just like everything, I think they're different.
Change your hair. I got to take my hair off and put a new one on.
You got to change your wig.
Got to change my wig.
You need to pick the one that actually smells and tastes good, because some of them are super bitter. They're very acrid, which,
Right.
you know, are disgusting.
So you want something with notes of,
It's kind of like
you know,
wine.
vanilla.
Shall we
and-
go to the wine topic?
You can, because I don't know anything
You
about
know,
wine. Admittedly so,
it's like
and
light-bodied
happily so.
and full-bodied, and
Got
you know,
it.
the tannins and all those things. So I don't really know how to describe it. I just know what I like. And
That's
generally-
fascinating. I learn something every day.
Yeah.
See, you
So I
like
the
a good
Velvet-
cigar.
yeah. And like the cognacs too. I mean, you know, they're the lighter cognacs, and then the VSOP XO, and then they're like the super fancy one, right? So that you can probably have like one sip of, and then it just permeates your entire head.
I gotta break it in and just say you're listening to the Plastic Fantastic with Dr. Olivia Hutchinson.
And Dr. Robert Sillage.
In case you just wandered on the dial on
And you
His
thought it
Majesty's
was a-
internet and was like, wow, they're talking about cigars. What's this?
So speaking of His Majesty, the other day I I went to a big Scottish dinner at St. Andrew's Society
Love
every year. Lots of tartans around.
A lot of kilts.
I do not have, as far as I know, any direct relation to any Scottish blood.
That's
but
okay.
You're supposed to wear the colors of your family and stuff. It's a lot of fun. They do the haggis thing. They do the whole recitation of the poem, which is really fun.
The Robert Burns poem?
Yeah. So they sing the national anthems, the U.S., the Scottish, and the God Save the King.
Yeah.
And this was the first time that I had heard the God Save the King version.
Well, it's funny you should say that, because when I just watched that match with England and Iran, which was a rout, they do the national anthems in the beginning, and I'm watching the English guys, yes, and they had to say, God Save the King.
Right.
Change all the pronouns.
Yeah, exactly. It sort of reminds you that things change after a while, and QE2 was, how long was she in power for, and how long did she reign for? 60-something years?
No, I think it hit 70.
So,
it had to have, yeah, because she died at 97, and I think she was queen at like 27 or 25 or something. Yeah, who knows? I spent a year in Scotland. I know haggis well.
That's right.
Love it.
Now, do you make it ever?
No.
Okay.
It's nasty.
Because I think that's one of those things that you really have to season a whole lot.
So we should tell the listener what it is, basically.
I don't know. I don't think I know what it is. I just know there's some parts
Roughly,
to it.
haggis is oatmeal without the milk in it. So it's oats mixed with
body parts.
Body parts, right. Blood, offal, like the organs, I think. I don't think it's any like lean, good cuts.
But does it come from a beef kind of thing? Is it beef or pork or
That's
sheep
a good question.
or lamb?
I thought it's either sheep or a cow, but I don't know. We're going to get lots of emails about this, I'm sure.
Please send us an email.
And traditionally it goes in a sheep's stomach.
Right.
And
but so does sausage and other things. Like, andouille is like that.
But they boil it. That's the killer. They boil haggis. Okay. So then when it comes out, you slice it kind of like, looks like meatloaf.
Yeah.
And you always have it with
like
Scotch
meatloaf.
whiskey.
That's the kicker right there. That's the most important
You could
part.
eat anything with Scotch whiskey. You'd be fine.
And so St. Andrews, which is a fundraiser, by the way, and it's for a very good cause. So they do take care of people in need.
Where the Prince and Princess of Wales went to college.
The St. Andrews Society here in the city, which sponsors this thing. And they have an auction. And this is also kind of the kickoff to the celebratory season for New York. So,
Amen. Thanks for the invite. I'll go with you next year.
Well, I'm a guest, so it's nice to see
What'd you wear?
Something black.
Did you wear a Tam O'Shanter hat?
No, I don't. For
I think
next
that's
year.
what that's called.
I actually tried. There's an auction, and I did bid on a couple of things that would have given me those Scottish colors that I could have worn perhaps next year. But I was outbid. I wasn't paying that much attention to what was going on, so I may have to go. And there's some very nice stores in the city that sell Scottish apparel,
no kidding. So should I go to our holiday party in a kilt?
Hey, whatever floats your boat.
I got to say, the king looks pretty good in that. Oh, yeah. There's a knife in the sock, and there's
very important.
Very important. There's
self-defense, if you know how to use it.
The pouch in the front, because I don't think there's pockets in a kilt.
And what do you put in that pouch? Is that for alcohol? Is it like your flask holder? Because that's kind of what it looks like.
That's a good question. I don't know. I always thought that was just because there's no pocket. There's no way for a Scotsman to hold anything.
And they don't wear
except
anything
his liquor. Right? I'm here all week. Isn't that nice?
Well, you're going to be here
they put it in the pouch.
For our third segment. We're going to take a quick break.
You're so smooth. It's as if you were born
Scottish
for show business.
Like a whiskey.
You're listening to Plastic Fantastic with Dame Olivia Hutchinson.
And Sire Robert Sillage.
And we will be right back.
Don't go anywhere. Plastic Fantastic will be right back.
Roxanne Watson is on a mission.
Hello, how are you doing today?
She wants more people to register as organ, eye, and tissue donors.
Are you an organ donor?
Yes, I am.
Yay. My goal is to sign up the most people in the United States.
What drives her? Roxanne's own life was saved through the gift of a heart transplant, made possible by an organ donor.
I decided that day that I was going to devote myself to the cause of organ donation and signing people up and honoring my donor by doing that.
Now she's back to health, and she's a powerful force helping to save lives every day through her work. Imagine what you can make possible by leaving behind the gift of life.
8 people can be helped with the major organs, and up to 50 people can be helped with a little bit of everything. And when you think about it that way, that you could help that many people, it's amazing. It really is.
Learn more and sign up as an organ, eye, and tissue donor. Go to organdonor.gov. A message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Health Resources and Services Administration.
Plastic Fantastic.
Welcome back to Plastic Fantastic. Happy Thanksgiving.
With Dr. Robert Sillage.
And Dr. Olivia Hutchinson.
Let's talk about some of the things that we're thankful for. One, being able to afford things. when they become so expensive.
Amen. You never want
inflation has gone
never want to take that for granted. That's
through
right.
the roof. It's also, I think, very important. When my boys were in elementary school, they always had a Thanksgiving drive where they would go and take care of the needy. I think it's very rewarding when you take care of others, and we sort of do it in our profession all the time anyway.
Absolutely.
We're probably very special in that sense, not just you and I, because you and I are very special. But
well, thank you. That's true. And to quote the Beatles, the best things in life are free.
There we go.
But
you can give them to the birds and bees.
You can't trade them for the birds and bees.
No. That's a different song.
No, it's the same one. I think that's the line.
Oh, but there's another one, the B-52s, when she says, I want money.
That's the same song. So it goes, the best things in life are free, but you can't trade them for the birds and bees. I want money. Yeah, that's what I want. I want money. And it's the Flying Lizards, not the B-52s. But it sounds just like them.
It sounds a little bit. But that's what I need you here for, to correct me where I'm wrong, which is pretty much all the time when it comes to music.
Mikey is now going to play both versions of Money, the Beatles one and the one by the Flying Lizards, which, by the way, you're right, that is the cooler version, in my humble opinion.
I like the beat drum or whatever they have in the back.
In the Flying Lizard. Yeah. One of the things that is great about what we do is that since the vast majority of it is vanity and cosmetic and elective, it does free us up to be very lenient with non-cosmetic issues. Trauma, lacerations, burns, stuff that we really care about the patients. Not that we don't care about the cosmetic patients, but somebody shows up because of a misfortune or because nothing elective. And that's really where we can then let our altruistic side show. And a lot of us do that. Most of us do that. It doesn't mean everything, but you certainly have the freedom to be able to do that because of the vast majority of the other stuff that we do every day for work.
And that is something that I think patients are very appreciative of. And then in general, as we were talking about in terms of choosing patients who will benefit from surgery, really important to evaluate patients and make sure that they're doing it for the right reasons. And there is definitely a psychological component to the cosmetic work as well. And so what we're looking for is to be able to provide results for patients so that they will feel better about themselves and overall not just look better, but also have a psychological benefit to their person. So that's really a hand-in-hand kind of thing. Hand in hand is the only way to land. There we go.
Who said that?
That's the cure.
Love Cats. Great song. Thank God I got that one. Oof, I got that within 3 seconds. I was going to panic a little bit.
Very good. Very good.
That's the Love Cats. What a great song.
That's my only musical reference that I'm going to make where I can actually
That's a really good one. I think the Love Cats is... Yeah, you're welcome. I think the Love Cats is on the same album as Let's Go to Bed, which was the first big hit, right? I guess Boys Don't Cry was the first big hit. Poor Mike. That's the head on the door. That was later. That was when we were seniors. I'm not going to date it.
No.
Mike now is scrambling in the record room. Can't you hear him? I can hear all the albums shifting. He's trying to find all the songs.
That's the other thing I happened to walk by. It's a record store. I mean, you wouldn't think that these things exist anymore. Somewhere in the village. I can't remember exactly where it was.
No, there is a subset of people that are really audiophilic, let's say. And they're really into the records, the way it sounds, that little scratch, the stuff that we really grew up on.
And the record players.
Yeah.
Which now they make some really fancy ones. Right. There are people I know who have like whole audio systems installed in their homes with like super fancy, and the record player that automatically changes and flips the sides and then will go through.
We call that a jukebox.
100,
Yes, no,
but
I know
they're
what
actual
you mean.
record players.
No, there are people that are really into it.
What else are we thankful for? We're thankful for each other, you said. That was very important.
We are.
It's very important
to have a partner.
Appreciative of the other person. And I think professionally also to know that if I am
incapacitated from cranberry juice, cranberry sauce, booze,
or away on vacation or off doing something with the kids or friends or whatever, family stuff, that I can always count on you,
see that?
Partner, to take care of my patients. And I
We're
think
never
that's
drunk
really
at the same time, Olivia.
Always make sure not to be...
You lose when you become an adult.
Well, I think excess in general is probably overrated, shall we say. I think the younger generation...
So you hear that, kids? Start drinking now, because when you get to be our age, you can't do it anymore. You got responsibilities.
So let's talk about food that's not homemade, because we are going to be doing this one big meal. But let's talk about restaurants and drinks outside of the house. Now, what do you do the day after Thanksgiving? Do you go out?
No, I make a shepherd's pie.
Oh, that's right.
Sorry.
Okay. No. How about the day after?
The day after the day after that? It's almost always going to swing to the other direction and be like...
No poultry.
Japanese,
yes.
Like or sushi bar, or maybe something exotic, maybe Indian, something like that.
So
something that's way different.
Have you made a reservation yet for the weekend after it's coming up?
No, I haven't.
Okay.
I'm a slide up to the bar kind of guy. And if they got a space for me, I'm good. If not, I'm out.
One of the bigger problems that I have with having too many people, tourists, etc., coming through the city, and because I think we've also lost so many restaurants during COVID, it's actually not so easy just to go slide up to the bar.
Oh my God. And
unless
how?
you go completely off hours.
You're 100% right. That's why you were saying how the city is exploding. It's insane right now.
I mean, the mobs of people, and I just don't feel like waiting an hour plus.
Can't wait anymore.
Because then, I go when I'm hungry kind of thing, or when I want to do stuff. So
can't wait.
What is the next place that you have secured a reservation at that you're looking forward to going? If there is such a place. You said Japanese. Is there one in particular?
You know what? No, I have a steakhouse reservation this weekend for these two guys that live in my building who I adore. They're married and they live in, what's that fancy place where Harry and Meghan live?
Oh, in California?
Yeah.
Oh.
So whenever they come to New York, they're like, we want to go to like a New York steak experience. So I always do that. So that's going to be...
So which one did you pick?
That's a tough one.
Wait,
it's a
toss-up. You said you have a reservation.
I do. I have two. It's a toss-up between, again, these are open sponsors for the Plastic Fantastic Show. There's Morton's, there's the Palm, which is still around. There's one left. And then there's a place called Del Frisco's. And I think they're actually all owned by the same people now, which is funny. There's a big conglomerate in New York that owns a lot of the old traditional steakhouses.
And it's always, I think, a lot of fun to go because they really do put on a show. Not like a performance show, but the waiters are usually very attentive.
Well, it's a very New York thing, yeah. I don't know how that happened in New York. Yeah, like the waiters are usually in a white coat. The sides are pretty much the same wherever you go. The cuts are pretty much the same. It's a fun kind of tradition. There's a bit of a backlash, though, about steakhouses. Have you heard about this? It's going to bring everybody down.
Is this because the mayor said you shouldn't eat meat?
No, but he is a big vegan. No, there's...
Is he, though? I thought that was up for grabs, too.
Really?
I'm not sure.
I wouldn't be surprised. Anyway. I'll tell you what is not up for grabs is his love of the nightlife.
Oh, that's, I think, been established very well.
Including who can keep up with his honor.
The establishments that he frequents, shall we say.
We've dabbled on that on other shows. That's true. But I'm afraid
some questioning going on.
He's going to sanction His Majesty's internet on us. We have to be careful. No, there's a bit of a backlash about paternalistic, dare I say,
misogynist?
Misogynist. Actually, that's part of it too. Tradition of the American steakhouse, which I don't really buy into, obviously. I don't buy into a lot of that stuff, but that has come up lately.
Well, that would be very unfortunate.
Do with that what you will.
Go eat steak at your own risk.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know.
Well, there's that.
It's not going to stop me.
There's also the Wagyu stuff, the super fancy.
Which I can't really eat.
Why not?
It's too much.
Oh.
Have you ever had it? It's so fatty that I can't get past 3 bites of it.
Well, I think you can't afford to get past
those. Well, that's true. Actually, yeah, there's that.
Not you personally.
No. I know what you mean, though.
I wouldn't want to cast
But boy, I'll tell you, those first 2.5 bites are spectacular. Boy, I'll tell you, there's nothing like it. What about you? Where's your weekend reservation after Thanksgiving?
None.
Oh, come on.
What was the one where they had Sparks, right? Wasn't Sparks?
Sparks is still open in New York.
So those movies, those Italian mob movies, they would always
that was
have
a real
the big
hit. That was the real deal.
It was a hit, and it was a
yes.
hit. A hit in more ways than one.
That was in December of 1985, I think, because I remember I was a freshman in college.
Is that when it was? Yeah.
And my mother called me, because I didn't go to college in New York. My mother called me. She goes, "You're not going to believe what happened. Manhattan's going crazy right now." And there was an old-fashioned mob shootout at Sparks Steakhouse, which a lot of people in New York knew the restaurant. It was very famous.
Right.
These guys were actually gunned down right in front.
In front, but not inside. So I guess in a way they got lucky.
Which is supposedly in the mob world was a sign of disrespect that they didn't let the guy have his last meal.
Oh,
Isn't that
really?
Terrible?
Wow, I don't know that much. I only know from Goodfellas and Godfather and various things like that. And
we could do a whole month on The Godfather. I'd be happy to.
A whole month?
I was going to say a show, and then I said, what am I talking about? We could fill a whole month with it.
There's so many different, there are what, 3, 4, 5? How many Godfathers are there? At least 3.
This is the time when I worry about you. Like, we just went through all of that about being partners together. Now, all of a sudden, when you say stuff like, I never saw the Planet of the Apes, there are 5 Godfather movies, I start to panic. Thank God I trust you with a knife, because I'll tell you.
It's the important stuff.
Oh my God, Olivia, there's only 3.
Okay, but it's like Star Wars.
And some people would say 2 because the third one's kind of weak.
Yeah, that's probably why I forgot how many there were, because I stopped
Planet of the Apes
so
is a different story. There's a lot. There's a lot of reboots. There's a lot of sequels.
But it's like
franchise.
Star Wars, right? I mean, Star Wars, they started with 3, and then they went the prequels and the postquels.
I stopped at Return of the Jedi. That was it.
The Lord of the Rings, that's another one.
No idea.
Okay, all right.
No idea.
That's a little
I'm not
bit
into
too much.
that kind of fantasy stuff.
How about The Matrix? You told me I should
Love
watch
the
that
Matrix.
too.
I'm so into
How many
it.
of those?
Keanu Reeves is in it, so I'll see anything with that guy in it.
Really? That was one of the answers to
there
the crossword.
There are 4, actually.
He was in that movie Speed with Sandra Bullock.
He was. One of the crossword puzzle questions about The Matrix is always what his name is.
What is it?
Neo. N-E-O. And that comes up in crossword puzzles all the time. Just like
a short
they'll always say John of the Beatles Love, and it's always O-N-O. Like there's certain like weird things that always show up on crossword puzzles.
Interesting.
Anyway, that's Keanu Reeves in The Matrix. You should see that. Put it on your list.
That's what I'll be doing this weekend.
We have to have a list show. Let's do a show of like all the great, these are the top 10 movies you need to see. You can do the top 10
list,
boozes
top 10
you want to put in your cranberry.
Top 10 classical music pieces.
You know what?
Nobody's
this is a great idea. Let's say next week is going to be the list show. That's a good idea.
And because it's also going to be the first week of, are we in December already?
Making a list and checking it twice.
Almost. Yes.
Let's do that.
Top 10 presents.
That's a great idea. Let's just do the list show. How did we get to 90? Is this the 92nd show?
This is the 92nd show.
How did we get to 92 shows without doing a list?
Well, we had some other ones. We talk about that sometimes.
You know we're getting
like
ready to jump the shark, right?
Top 5.
That always means the show is like sinking.
Yeah, and I've already forgotten what that meant, but you said that it was...
Very briefly.
And then we're done. So
when Happy Days, the popular 70s show about the 50s, was sinking in the ratings, they came up with an episode where the Fonz jumped a shark like water skiing. Yeah. That then became the colloquial phrase of that thing has jumped the shark, which means they've gone so far now, they're like pulling out all the stops to try and save this thing, and it never works, by the way.
Oh, wow.
So maybe our list show is us jumping the shark.
Okay, well, maybe it will work, though, and all of a sudden we'll have...
Rejuvenate this puppy?
We'll have all these people who want to sponsor us, and then we'll be able to
Well,
talk
we've
about
certainly
these...
dropped enough clues. My God. Steakhouses, stores.
We're the name drop. It's going to be the name dropper show.
Right,
that's going to be for next week.
We could do okay with that.
Well, we hope that you have a wonderful Thanksgiving
Happy
with
Thanksgiving.
your loved ones and your families and everybody that you're going to be seeing and thinking of if you don't get to see them. Been listening to the Plastic Fantastic Show with Dr. Robert Silich.
And Dr. Olivia Hutchinson. And I didn't really mean that about I worry about you being my partner. I'm very happy with that. I get a little nervous about the Godfather and the Planet of the Apes stuff, but other than that,
it's all good.
You're okay. I trust you.
Well, thank you, Dr. Silich.
All right.
You've been listening to Plastic Fantastic with Dr. Robert Silich and Dr. Olivia Hutchinson. Produced by Mike Scheck. This is Bill Eugene speaking. Got a question? Email plasticfantasticshow@gmail.com. And be sure to listen right here every week for another episode of Plastic Fantastic with Dr. Robert Silich and Dr. Olivia Hutchinson.